Welcome to the solocast of Firecode Tech. In these episodes, it's just going to be me, your host, Gus Gagliardi. There's going to be a range of topics, but I'm going to talk about specific technologies, installation standards, codes and how they work, as well as some other interesting topics that don't neatly fit inside of the context of a normal interview. Hello all. Welcome to episode 41 of the solocast series of Firecode Tech. On this episode, we're talking about high-piled storage. Yes, this is the second solocast episode that's talking about high-piled storage. In episode number 5, we spoke about some of the preliminary factors for analyzing a project for high-piled storage requirements. In this follow-up solocast, we're going to discuss what the code defines is required provisions for implementing a high-piled storage permit and construction documents. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode and follow us on social media. Oh, and if you want to support the podcast, please go give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Let's get into the show. So what are some important factors for analyzing your facility's high-piled storage needs? In this episode, I'm going to speak to some of the required pieces of information in the International Fire Code in regards to storage configurations and high-piled storage. We're going to be talking about the International Fire Code, Chapter 32, but more specifically, Section 3201.3. Construction documents. This section reads, at the time of the building permit application for new structures designed to accommodate high-piled storage or for requesting a change of occupancy/use, and at the time of application for a storage permit, plans and specifications shall be submitted for review and approval. In addition, the information required by the International Building Code, the storage permit submittal shall include the information specified in this section. The construction document shall include all of the following. So this section tells you exactly when you need to think about a high-piled storage permit. Requesting a change of occupancy/use at the time of application for storage permit, during the design process, new structures that are anticipating storage requirements. There are a variety of different situations in which you might be performing management of change and working on a facility with existing storage configurations or installing or permitting new facility high-piled storage implications. This section, one more time, that's 3201.3 construction documents, details a good list of starting questions for a building owner if you are a fire and life safety professional that's trying to help them navigate the requirements in the fire code and building code in the United States. This list has 14 different items, and they might not all be applicable to your project, but it is a good sanity check for you to run through these items if you have a project that is incorporating high-piled storage or if you think they might be near the thresholds for high-piled storage. If you're not sure about what the definitions or some of the beginning terms are for high-piled storage, go back and take a listen to solocast number 5. Number 1 on the list in 3201.3 is floor plan of the building showing locations and dimensions of high-piled storage areas. So this information is really critical because a facility can have a variety of different high-piled storage areas and a mixture of commodities throughout the facilities. These areas need to be clearly marked and delineated within the facility, and it plays a huge part in understanding the severity in the specific areas of the facility by designating these different storage configurations. Say you have an area in a shop where you want to store tires, but you don't want to have a fire sprinkler system with that great of density for your entire facility. Well, if you can accommodate the storage configuration and provide a way to delineate in the facility, like draft curtains and higher hazard sprinklers over the tire section, but lower the commodity hazard severity in the rest of the facility, then you can manage storage in a more potentially cost-effective way. The second factor that is listed in 3203.1 is height of the storage. Usable height for each storage area is how the section defines this point of information. There's a good reason for this information being required. The height of the storage configuration is one of the primary determinants for how severe the hazard will be and how the nature of the fire protection system demand. Number 3 on the list is number of tiers in each rack, if applicable. Number 4 is commodity clearance between top of storage and the sprinkler deflector of each storage arrangement. This is important because there is a minimum distance from the sprinkler deflector to the top of storage, and this distance can be as low as 18 inches and as large as, I believe, 3 feet for storage sprinklers like CMSA and ESFR. Storing commodities in a configuration that does not give adequate clearance is something that you'll see frequently, especially in office buildings, not in specific to high-piled storage, but any type of storage which obstructs clearance to the deflector of the sprinkler is an issue. Number 5 is aisle dimension of each storage array. If you're familiar with the tables in NFPA 13 that speak about the different demand requirements for storage sprinklers, you'll be aware that the closer the aisle width, the more severe the hazard. So a 4-foot aisle has a larger demand than an 8-foot aisle. So this is a good thing to keep in mind when analyzing your storage array. It might not be the first thing that comes to mind when you start asking questions about storage, but you should keep it in your tool belt. Number 6 is maximum pile volume for each storage array. So there is a neat table. We talked about it a bit in episode 5 of the solocast, originally on high-piled storage. So if you want to hear a little bit more about the table in the International Fire Code that has different fire protection and life safety features depending on the volume of the storage in your facility, go check that out. Number 7, location and commodity classification in accordance with section 3203. Commodity classification is a very intricate subject, and a lot of fire protection engineers in the industry, especially some of the professional societies, will counsel engineers to not even try to classify commodities, to rely on the owner and scientists or engineers who specialize in this process to classify commodities because of the liability involved. I'm sure I will do a whole podcast about this in the future. Number 8 is if commodities are encapsulated or banded. So this is a commonly missed feature for high-piled storage. Maybe you have fairly non-combustible commodities, but they are stored in boxes that are encapsulated in plastic. So this can be something that will greatly increase the hazard of your commodity that you're storing. Not only is it wrapped in a petroleum product, but it is not allowing the sprinklers to discharge onto the commodity, so it increases the hazard. Number 9, location of fire department access doors. So when you reach the high-piled storage threshold, you have to have additional egress and fire department access. So this is something that they want noted on the permitting plans is, do you have the fire department access required for high-piled storage? Number 10 in this section is type of fire protection systems. This one's fairly self-explanatory. Do you have a storage sprinklers? Do you have advanced detection, means of detection? Is it a wet system or a dry system? You need to know these factors when permitting or evaluating a response to a fire. So it's a good fire and life safety determinant to have all the information about the system available. Number 11, location of control valves controlling main sprinkler riser valves and in-rack sprinkler riser valves. This is something they want designated on the plans, and this is important for emergency response. And with in-rack sprinkler systems, you get a lot of extra valving and components added, so they want this to be displayed in these construction documents. Number 12, type, location, and specifications of smoke removal and curtain board systems. So the smoke removal systems are a firefighter feature in the facility, and there are a couple of different ways you can accomplish this feature. You can have vents in the roof that are on fusible links, or you can have a automatic or manually operated system that utilizes air handling units that are rated for the discharge of heat and smoke. Obviously, the fusible links are going to be a more cost-effective means to provide the smoke and heat removal, but some owners prefer to go the route of the dedicated air handling unit for the evacuation of smoke and heat. This is not for the response to a fire. This is really for post-incident evacuating fire and smoke and heat from the building. So it's a little bit of a strange requirement, but good to know about because it can be expensive if you miss this requirement and then find out that you have to incorporate roof penetrations and expensive equipment like fusible link heat and smoke removal vents. Number 13, dimension and location of transverse and longitudinal flue spaces. So in-rack sprinklers are really confusing, and I still don't claim to be anything close to an expert on in-rack sprinklers. If you go take a look in NFPA 13, there are diagrams for where to locate the sprinklers in regards to the positioning of the racks and the different annular spaces in between the racks for in-rack sprinklers. And so transverse and longitudinal flues are industry terms for the different spaces length and width-wise between the racking systems. So I'll try to find a snippet from NFPA 13 for you to get some idea of what these spaces look like if you don't know, but go check the show notes. Number 14 is additional information regarding the required design features, commodities, storage arrangements, and fire protection features with the high-piled storage area shall be provided at the time of permit where required by the fire code official. So this is just an all-encompassing note for the official being able to require and need the approval of any fire and life safety feature they would like. I've worked in jurisdictions like Houston where there is a definite emphasis on this high-piled storage permit. So you want to really be aware of the different jurisdictions you're working in and what kind of different permitting authorities you're going to have, because they will carry much more scrutiny than some other jurisdictions. That's going to be it for now. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on Fire Code Tech. Thanks for listening, everybody. Be sure to share the episode with a friend if you enjoyed it. Don't forget that fire protection and life safety is serious business. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are by no means a professional consultation or a codes and standards interpretation. Be sure to contact a licensed professional if you are getting involved with fire protection and or life safety. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.